everybody. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? Sherman D. Manning joining you live from Los Angeles, California. Those of you who have tuned in Switzerland, those of you tuning in Guam, those in Dallas, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia, wherever you are, because I don't know where they air this, because I don't air it. But wherever they are airing this right now, this is the Sherman D. Manning podcast. And I greet you today, letting you know that I know that times look rough, and for those of us who are progressives and consider ourselves to be liberal in our thinking and our lifestyles and the way that we live and the way that we love and the way that we give, I want you to know that it is not over. Even though we saw the rise and election of the biggest con man in the country, even though we are facing some dark times because of the buffoonery and the racism and the hatred and the evil of the man who now occupies the White House, I want you to know that it is not over. This was a setback for us, no doubt, for progressives. But a setback is only a setup for a comeback. And quite frankly, when you have been set back, the only thing you can do is to step forth. Oh, Lord, if I had time to break that down for you. So if you've been set back, step forward and step forth and let your conversations be heard. Let your thought processes be known. Let that which is in you come to the surface and show us why you were sent to the planet. Because at the end of the day, in the meantime and in between time, I've come to the ultimate conclusion that God did not just send you to the universe, nor did he just send me for us to coexist for a while and get up and go to work in the morning for 20, 30 years and make a few children and then live happily or deadly ever after. That there's some reason that God caused you to come to the planet. There's some reason. There was some reason that your sperm cell won the fight, because as we know, the spermatozoa were fighting, and there were millions and millions and millions and millions of sperm racing, trying to get to the uterus and be formed in your mother's womb so that you could become who you are and come out of the womb and say, aha, I'm living. There's some reason God wanted you to be here. You're not here by accident. You're nobody's mistake, and they didn't just have you just to be having you, and God didn't just let you be born just to let you be born. He didn't just let you come here to wad up and to occupy the space, to take up space, to be ignorant for the rest of your life and then die and go to hell or heaven, wherever you're going to. I told a woman one time, I said, when I hook up with women, I like to hook up with women who are smarter than I am. Because, I mean, how can a seeing eye dog lead me if the seeing eye dog is blind? And if what we're going to do, both of us going to be uneducated, neither one of us can put two sentences together, neither one of us can articulate what it is we want to say and what we want to do, etc. What are we going to do? Lay up in the bed, say, how you spell that word on a Saturday morning because both of us are ignorant? No, someone needs to be in a position of readiness. Someone needs to be in a position to receive that which they can believe that they can receive. But there also needs to be someone who's dispensing knowledge and distributing educational thought processes and helping people to raise themselves up by their own bootstraps. But what I'm trying to say in a very roundabout way tonight is that no matter who's in the White House, first and foremost, black people, and this podcast is for everybody, black, white, Mexican, other, Hispanic, Latino, German, Swiss, whoever you are. But what I'm saying to black folks just for a moment is I don't know what the future holds with this new president. But the good news tonight is, and the shouting news tonight is, I do know who holds the future. And the same God that was with us and brought us from slavery to the outhouse, the same God that brought us from the outhouse to the state house, the same God who brought us from the state house with President Obama to to the White House, that same God is still on the throne tonight. And he rules and super rules, and he is in charge of the universe. He rules the universe. And so earth can do nothing without God's permission. God has to start crying in order to let it start raining. God has to wake the sun up behind the eastern horizon every morning and cause it to energize our bodies every hot hour. He has to cause the light to punch in on the time clock of another day in order that you and I might exist and be able to see and make our way. God is in charge of this thing. It's not Donald. It's not some senator. It's not Mitch McConnell. It's not Paul Ryan. They got to keep trying, but they're not running the universe. God is the CEO of the universe, and he rules and super rules. And oh Lord, okay. I said all of that to try to say this right here. Listen. Thank you, Jesus. God born and birthed something in my belly recently, and it was called Hope and Change Worship Center. It is a church that we'll be getting ourselves. Hopefully on the third Sunday of next month, we will be meeting, having our first church service, the Hope and Change Worship Center. Actually, Greater Hope and Change Worship Center. So I am asking you to tell all of your friends who are in Los Angeles and Pasadena and the surrounding areas, ask them to come out and join us for our first service. Ask them to come and be with us at the Greater Hope and Change Worship Center. I'm not sure where we're going to be holding services, but it'll be at 6 o'clock p.m. every Sunday, beginning the third Sunday in next month. I don't know. God is doing all of this. I'm on autopilot right now. I've kind of given up on trying to figure stuff out because, while I'm trying to figure it out, God has already worked it out. And so I'm giving up on trying to, I'm kind of just playing it by ear, and I'm going to go where he tells me to go, and I'm going to do what he tells me to do, and I'm going to say what he tells me to say, because I know that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness of thereof, and the world and they that dwell in it. And I know there's some kind of way God is going to do the almighty through the least likely. I know that there's something going on in the universe. I can feel an excitement. I can feel something in my spirit. I feel something kicking in my belly right now, telling me that everything is getting ready to be transformed, that God still does the almighty through the least likely, that God is still the King of kings and the Lord of lords, and he's Yahweh, Elohim, and El Shaddai. There's nothing fake about God. There's something fake about a lot of preachers. There's something thick about a lot of us. There's some phoniness in us. There's some cover-ups in us. There's some scams, some schemes. There's some sin stuck up in you and me. There's some stuff that you don't want me to know about you. There's a couple of things I don't want you to know about me. And I'm trying to hide mine, hoping you don't find it. And you trying to hide yours, hoping I don't find it. Because at the end of the day, we both think that if you knew this about me, you might judge me. If you knew that about me, you might not think I love God like I say I do. And so we spend all of our lives trying to cover up from one thing to another. You don't want your mama to know you use drugs. You don't want your sister to know you cheat on your wife. You don't want your brother to know you cheat on your husband. All of us run through life trying to cover this up and trying to cover that up and masquerading around and camouflaging ourselves so that we might look like we're men and we might look like we're women. But at the end of the day, most of us are nothing but little weak boys and weak girls, vulnerable, gullible, needing mama to come stick a pacifier, a bottle or a nipple in our mouth, and we have not matured, and we have not grown, and we have not gotten to the place where God can trust us with trouble, and we have not gotten to the place where God can trust us with success. Some of us, the reason we ain't got no money is not because God doesn't have it. It's not because God does not want to do it, but because God can't trust you to do the right thing to it. God can't trust you right now because he knows your inklings. He knows your proclivities. He knows what you're drawn to. He knows exactly how you like it, baby boy. He knows exactly how you like it, baby girl. And so he knows that at this point right now, he knows that you've got more gift than you have giving. He knows that right now you have more revelation than you have situation. And he knows that right now he's looking at what is to come and what shall be, but he knows that the world only looks at what is, and they can't see you where you're going because they're stuck on where you are. And the reason you're not comfortable where you are is because you're already dressed for where you're going. And so you spend half of your life sticking out like a sore thumb, feeling like there's more to me than this, that there's there's more to life than this. It's got to be bigger than this. It's got to be better than that. God has to have some kind of plan for my life. I once heard Oprah say that God can dream a bigger dream for you than you could ever dream for yourself. And I want to tell some young man right now, I want to tell some young woman who's been thinking about giving up, who's been thinking about throwing in the towel, who's been thinking about turning back. How dare you turn back now? God has brought you too far for you to come and turn around now. You got to keep moving forward. You got to keep on believing in God. You got to keep believing in God and in God alone, and know that God has a reason for your season. I know you're at the bottom right now, but I finally found out that when you're at the bottom, it's solid ground. And I finally found out that when they're going to build a building real high, they dig the foundation real deep, and you ought to go as high up as you went low down. I finally found out that when you're at the bottom, the only way to move is up. The only way to move is up. When you're stuck at the bottom, my brother, when you're stuck at the bottom, my sister, the only way you can move is up. You already at the bottom. You already ain't got no money. You already ain't got no hope. You already ain't got no faith. You already ain't got no friends. You already got fair weather family members. And time somebody die in the family goes crazy. Folk you thought never would be arguing over money are now arguing over money. Folk you thought never would stab in your back, now stabbing you in your back. Folk you thought never would turn their back on you, now turn their back on you. Folk you thought never would let you sleep on the streets will actually let their own brother, their own nephew, their own cousin sleep on the street. I know that it is hard and life is tough and life is rough. You got to be tough to make it through life. But I want to remind you that suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. And in the end, faith shall not disappoint. The reason I'm starting this Hope and Change Church on the third Sunday in next month and having service somewhere in this city, maybe it'll be a Greater Hopewell on Vernon. Maybe Pastor Pittsford would open the door for. I don't know yet, but I do know that wherever we start having service, I want to bring back the legacy of Barack Obama. I want to let the world know that Obama brought hope and Obama brought change, and God did it through Obama. It wasn't that Obama was so much, but it was because God is so bad, that God is an awesome God, that he rules and super rules, and he's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords and the Yahweh Elohim and El Shaddai. And so if you're worried about the new president, I know a man from Galilee. If you're worried about something, he'll set you free. And so God can still do whatever, he wants to do. And I want to let you know, don't worry, look forward, hold your head up high, know that everything is going to be all right. And not only is it just going to be all right, it ain't going to happen through the process of osmosis, but it's going to be all right because we're going to make it all right. We're going to fight for it to be all right. We're going to cry for it to be all right. We're going to pray for it to be all right. We're going to work for it to be all right. We're going to roll up our sleeves and get it done. We're going to say, wait a minute, you're not going to take our country back from us, the liberals, us, the progressives, us, the people who are not racist, us, the people who love everybody, us, the people who know that in order to see God, you got to have love in your heart. You're not going to take this magnificent, this wonderful, this vivacious, this effervescent, you're not going to take this great country back from these great people who love all people, who welcome immigrants, who welcome folk who don't look like me, welcome folk who don't study like me, welcome people who don't have faith like I have, welcome people who don't eat what I eat, welcome people who don't live where I live. We welcome people in this country because this is a nation of immigrants. Had there been no immigrants, that would be no America. This is the United States of America, not the divided states of America. We're not going to let Donald divide us and then blame it on Obama. We're not going to let Donald divide us and then act like he inherited the divisions. Obama brought hope and Obama brought change. And the only people who got angrier were folk who were racist before he ever got there. And see, if you're already racist, that doesn't have anything to do with me. You can't blame me because you're mad with the world. You can't blame me because you're upset every time you see chocolate. That's a personal thing, baby. That doesn't have anything to do with me. That's not because of anything I have articulated. That's not because of anything I have done. That's not because of anything that I have said. That's because something that you've allowed to be in you. That's because of a hatred that you've embraced. That's because of a bias that you've involved yourself with. That's because of